Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, November 5th, 2011. This is episode 819. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Ford, featuring voice-activated Sync App Link. Now you can control select smartphone apps with your voice, so you keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. Check it out in the 2012 Ford Fiesta and at Ford.com/technology. Well, hey, how are you today? Good to see you. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk about, technology, computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, whatever, all that stuff that you plug in, turn on, tune in. I don't know what's the third part of that. Get online. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Anywhere from the U.S. toll free. And outside the U.S., just use Skype, and it'll be toll-free for you. 888-827-5536. Chris, in our chat room, Chris S. says, tune in. What was it? Tune in, turn on, and turn off. There is a movement, a very big movement afoot called the cord-cutting movement. You know about that? People who say, I'm not going to pay for cable anymore. It's ridiculous. The same thing happened in music. I think there's a little analogy to this in music. Remember, before iTunes came along, the music industry would get you to buy the whole. You couldn't buy. They had some singles. Man, I was a kid. You'd buy the 45s, right? But it kind of died out when CDs came along. There were CD singles, but really the idea was they'd put out a couple of good songs and then fill up the album with a bunch of stuff, and you'd have to buy the album to get the hit. Music industry loved that because the song you wanted cost $18, right? Then along comes iTunes, and this guy named Steve Jobs. Boy, was he a powerhouse. He really transformed the music industry. Jobs said, no, you know what? We're going to sell individual songs for 99 cents. And the music industry said, no way. We're not going to do that. And I don't know exactly how he got him to do it, except that he did. I think there was a two-pronged approach. First, he said, look, people are stealing them anyway. They're pirating them. So you've got to do something. You've got to make it available online in some way because that's how people are getting their music. So if you don't sell them a song for 99 cents, they'll steal it. Okay. And, hey, I'm just Apple. We're just a little tiny, little teeny-weeny thing. No big deal. This is even before the iPod came out. How bad could it get? So the music industry said, well, this will be an experiment. Huh, boy, oh boy. Of course, today, it didn't even take 5 years. iTunes became the #1 way to buy music, and everybody buys individual songs. That's what the expectation is. You don't buy albums unless you know you want the whole thing. You buy individual songs. Well, the TV, particularly the cable industry, is in the same boat right now, right? If you want ESPN, guess what? You're going to get a lot of channels you don't want. You cannot unbundle it. You cannot buy an individual channel, let alone an individual show. If all you care about is Gossip Girl, too bad. You got to get the whole package, right? The whole package is adding up. And that's why I think a lot of people are saying, I'm going to cord cut. I'm going to try to get my shows a la carte online. And I think some of the same arguments are going on. iTunes and Amazon and others sell individual shows. You can buy a single episode now of a show. See if you like it for $2.99. And if you do, you can buy the whole season in many cases. And what's the argument? Same argument. People are going to download it anyway. You might as well make some money off of it. But that's the argument to the people who create the content. You can imagine how Comcast, the middleman, is starting to feel. It's really the worst of all possible worlds for Comcast because really they want you to buy that $150 cable package. Instead, you're using their $40 or $50 internet package and downloading all the shows. And they're not seeing any of that money. They're just seeing the internet package. And they say again and again, we can't afford this. We need to make $150 off of you. We can't do that. We can't survive on $50 a subscriber. That'll never work. So they try to sell you phone service. They try to bundle packages. They try to sell you more and more. How big is your cable bill? And now you can understand why there are a lot of people saying, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. The cable company, though, is putting the screws to people. They don't like this. They say it's just like the music industry. Remember how the music they fought tooth and nail. They just held on for dear life, and it's the same thing right now. Cable companies putting the screws to people in the content industry, saying, well, ABC, if you want us to carry your network, you better not let people download shows from your Fakatka ABC website. I know this because the other day I have a friend who's in a show, and I wanted to watch this show, and it was on ABC, and I could only get it for the first 2 days after the show was on the air, and then after that, it's gone. So what do people do? They go to BitTorrent. They download it for free. The music industry learned this. The TV industry, the movie industry, they're going to learn this. The problem is the cable companies, they don't like this. They try to block BitTorrent. They put caps, don't they? They put caps. They say, oh, well, 250 gigabyte cap, nobody will use that up in a month. That's a 1% of our users. Well, they said that when they initiated the caps a couple of years ago. But guess what? More and more of us are watching Netflix, are downloading TV shows on iTunes and Amazon. More and more are getting our stuff from the internet. And guess what? It's starting to add up. Pretty soon, 250 gigs doesn't sound like so much. And you know what? Maybe Comcast just happened to know that that's exactly what would happen. Very interesting. And, of course, now Amazon, we're going to get this in about 10 days. Amazon's selling a device. Apple's been selling the iPad for a couple of years. Amazon's got a new thing called the Kindle Fire. And what's it designed to do? Well, besides read books, because, they've got other Kindles for that, it's a color, fast tablet you could watch TV and movies on. And absolutely, that's the plan, right? Now, if you're the content company, this is good. You've traded one middleman for another, but maybe you're going to make a bigger cut. You don't have to go through the cable company. The problem is it's hard because you don't want to annoy the cable company because right now it's the only way you can make money. So there's a little battle going on. It's all a battle for your eyes and not even your eyes, your dollars. That's what they really want, your dollars. So Apple has admitted that the iPhone battery doesn't work so good. Did you update to iOS 5? You have problems with the battery? A lot of people complaining. Apple, as usual, there's nothing wrong here. And then, oh, yeah, there is something wrong. We'll fix that. We're going to get a fix out. Another problem with Apple, did you notice if you use an iPhone 4S, see, it's only a few million people so far, but if you use an iPhone 4S, Siri was down for like 3 days. You couldn't talk to your phone. You couldn't talk to your phone. Did Apple say anything about it? No. Did Apple tell anybody it wasn't working? No. You just couldn't do it. I don't know why Apple gets such credit for being such brilliant marketers, because they really seem to have this attitude when something goes wrong of stonewalling it, not admitting it. I was reading in the Steve Jobs biography. By reading this biography, you get kind of the behind the scenes in some of these recent, for instance, the iPhone 4 antenna gate, they called it. And of course, they denied there was anything wrong. And finally, they had to admit, well, there's something wrong, but it's not really wrong. And the spin they did was actually kind of brilliant. They said, well, all phones don't work. All phones are broken, not just ours. Well, except that I guess in the iPhone 4S they've changed the antenna design, so maybe there was something wrong after all. I'm glad they're fixing the battery. I did not. It's funny. It did not bother me, but they say there will. It is a bug in iOS 5. If you update it to the latest version of the iPhone or iPad operating system, you might have battery issues. They are going to fix it. They say. They don't say exactly when, but they say we're fixing it. Apparently, according to CBS, Apple's also getting into this cord cutting thing. They very much want to start putting TV shows. There was talk about an Apple TV, a full-blown HD TV. Of course, they make this little Apple TV device. And according to Les Moonves, who runs CBS, on their earnings call, he said briefly, Apple, Les, I think it was a secret. Apple is proposing a service that would split revenue earned on advertising through this service and bring TV shows directly to you, eliminating the middleman. CBS walked away. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, the Groupon thing is interesting. Yeah, Siri was ignoring me. Bites. I was very unhappy. Our show today, our podcast today, if you're listening at home, you can thank our friends at Ford, ford.com/technology, if you'd like to learn more about what they're up to. They're up to some very cool stuff, of course, as always. Have we talked about the App Link? I think we did. The App Link is the thing that lets you put your phone in your car and use Ford's Sync, their voice control technology, which, by the way, works all the time. It doesn't need to get to the server. It works all the time. And you can tell your phone things like play Pandora. You can even say, play my classic rock station. You could say, thumbs up to a song, thumbs down to a song, bookmark that song so I can buy it later. They've got Stitcher so you can listen to podcasts like this one. They've got OpenPeak so you can listen to your tweets read to you. The technology they're putting into these cars is amazing. I want you to go to twit.tv because we're going to have a little, let me open up the page. We're going to have a little showcase of Ford vehicles. It's our Sunday barbecue. There's two of them. One coming up November 13th, a week from tomorrow, and one December 4th. We're going to have the vehicles there so you can try them. We're going to have great food. And you can watch TWiT, the TWiT show, and you can watch our new gaming show, which we're working on. The 2012 Ford Focus will be there. The 2012 Fiesta with this new App Link will be there. But you got to ask for tickets because it's going to be a sellout. We don't have a whole lot of room. I think 50 people, something like that. So go to twit.tv, click the link for Sunday barbecues, and sign up because we'd love to see you a week from tomorrow, the 13th, and then following December 4th, which is like the day before I think I leave that night for Paris, or maybe the next day for TWiT in Paris. We're going to do TWiT from Paris that following week. So come on out. And while you're there, make sure you check out Ford.com/technology. Here's one you're not going to like, Justin. Justin's 13. You're 13, right? When you get, this is when Mom will get this My Key. It's for teenage drivers. They give you a special key when you get in the car, and you can't get, you can set the top speed. You can set the maximum volume of the audio system. Oh, man, I wish we'd had this. When I had teenagers. Anyway, Ford.com/technology. Take a look at all the great technology going into Ford vehicles these days. It's pretty darn impressive. They gave me new ad copy that says revised barbecue spelling. I shouldn't have made such a big deal about the spelling of barbecue. I guess I did. They fixed it for me. Thank you. And thanks to Ford for sponsoring our show. Justin is a 13-year-old iOS app developer. That's pretty cool. We talked to him on the radio, what was it, a couple of months ago, right? 2 weeks? Seems like so long. His program is called Help Now. Help Now. It's a big red button. And it says, help me. Let me see. I have to help now, and I'll search for iPhone. Is iPhone only or iPad as well? Yay. Isn't that cool? This is so cool that a 13-year-old. How did you learn to write software? Stanford has a great course for undergraduates. I didn't know they had a course in the summer too. Yeah, that's really neat. In 2 weeks, you're able to learn how to write Objective-C and do all the coding. Wow, you'd knew a little bit before you went. Yeah, I think so. Panic. Press only in a real emergency. It calls 911. It says an emergency email to your folks or whoever. Wow. Love that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. Isn't it telling that CBS, so Apple goes to CBS and says, hey, we got this idea. We got this guy. We got this good idea. And this was actually, according to Moonvest, they tried this 2 years ago, 2009. Late 2009. At that time, it was expected that Apple, well, this is the article in Ars Technica today. At that time, it was expected that Apple would launch it in the early part of 2010. CBS was one of the networks reportedly in talks with Apple to do a live TV or ad-supported TV, bypassing cable networks entirely. CBS said, well, we didn't want to share our ad revenue with Apple. They claimed they walked away from Apple's offer because the company likes upfront cash for online licensing deals. The company being CBS. They want money, in other words. And the splits would mean CBS would have to get paid for viewers after the fact based on ads being shown and how many people saw them, not how CBS wants online content delivery to work. You know what, guys? Somebody in the music industry said this, and I think that the television and movie industry has got to realize it too. The competition is not ABC, NBC, Fox, CW. The competition is Pirate Bay. You don't offer these things for download. People will download them anyway. 8888 Ask Leo. It's very similar to the music industry. It really is. Very similar. They're going through the same thing. The same, denial. What are the 5 stages of grief? Anger, denial, finally acceptance. We'll get there. Barbara Camarillo, you're first on the show today. Hi, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Okay, my husband and I were going to be going to Europe, and we both use Nikon D90 cameras.
Excellent camera.
We only use the Nikon format when recording our pictures, and we're looking for a backup option when we go for all the pictures that we hopefully are going to be taking. And we've looked at, the standalone backup, and we've been thinking about the MacBook Air with a USB drive. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's what I do. But there are standalone. There are a number of things. These are sometimes called photo wallets that are just basically hard drives with card readers. And you plug the card into it, it reads it, now it's on the hard drive. The problem is, I bring a laptop. I like the MacBook Air for a couple of reasons. First of all, you can review these on a nice big screen. And so, you get back to the hotel, you might want to take a look at your pictures. You might want to email some, blog some. You can do all that, so you have a computer with you. And then what I do is I bring not one but 2 USB external drives.
Oh.
So here's the workflow. And that's because, okay, now I'm being very paranoid. But you got great cameras. You're going to take wonderful pictures. So you might as well take good care of them, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So what I do is I bring a number of memory cards. More than 1 for each camera. You might bring 3 for each camera, something like that.
Oh, we've got plenty.
Good, good. So, okay, so you spend the day out in the field. You started with a fresh card. You filled that card up. You come back to the hotel. First thing I do is I take the contents of the cards and I copy it to one of the external drives. Then I open up my photo application. You might use Lightroom, iPhoto, Aperture, Picasa, whatever you use.
We actually use the Nikon View and Nikon Capture.
Okay, good. So here's what I would suggest. First, copy the files from the card to that first drive. Then import them into your catalog on the hard drive. And I don't know about the Nikon programs. Most programs, I'm sure the Nikons will let you do this, will let you say where to copy those files, copy them to the second drive. So have the library not on your MacBook Air, but be on the second external drive. So now you have 2 copies. Actually, you have 3. You have 2 hard drives. One with just the photos as you've copied them off of the card. The other with the library using your software and the originals and any modifications you make. And then I don't erase that card until I make sure I rotate the cards. So that gives me a few more days in case something goes wrong. And then what I do is I put one of those hard drives in carry-on and one of them in checked. This way you pretty much guarantee you're not going to lose anything.
Okay.
Now, I like having a laptop, and an Air is very light, but there are other choices, these photo wallet choices. There's quite a few of them. Epson makes a very good pricey one. It's expensive because it has a nice screen on it, so photographers can use it to preview their images. But even so, a 3-inch screen is not going to compare to the 11-inch screen on a MacBook Air.
No, I like the idea of, putting it on the computer and looking at it.
Now,
and
if you're
playing around with it.
now, I did this when I was on a cruise, so I had no bandwidth. If you have bandwidth, if you're in a hotel with Wi-Fi, you can even further protect yourself and maybe eliminate the second hard drive by uploading to a service.
Okay.
That's another way, a cloud upload, but that uses a lot of bandwidth. And I, when I travel, sometimes I just can't get online or in any speedy way.
Well, we're going to Europe, and I'm not too much interested in paying the extra cost for having that service.
Yeah. So I think it's a good idea to have, if you can get add cloud to that. But most of the time you're going to have 3 copies. You won't reuse that memory card until you probably a week later when you've had a chance to look at those images. And yeah, you want to blog them, you want to post them, you want to email them to people. So you need a computer to do that.
Okay.
And I love the Airs.
Oh, well, we're a Mac family now. We originally started out with Macs and then went PC route, and we're back to the Macs.
I would, if I were you, I would it's in the App Store. I would look at Apple's Aperture program.
Okay.
I think it's much nicer than the Nikon program, much more capable. It's not very expensive now. I think they dropped the price to $100. And what's nice about it, if you're a Mac family, you buy it on the account and you can install it on all your computers.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I use Lightroom, but Aperture is equivalent. It's very Mac-ish, and it really makes it, it will do the thing that I mentioned, which is import the files to another folder.
Okay.
While keeping the originals on the original drive. I think it's just really great. Hey, where are you going?
We're going to do a Mediterranean cruise and spend some time in Rome as well.
Well, yeah, if you're on a cruise, you got no internet. So that's when I came up with this procedure, was the last cruise I went on, because they give you internet, but it's not fast enough to upload anything.
Yeah, when we went to Alaska, we did the same thing. But we took our big MacBook Pro.
Yeah, you don't want a Pro. Bring an Air. They're light. They're easy. Bring 2 external hard drives. They're cheap now. A terabyte drive is nothing. Oh. And, the Air has 2 USB ports, so I literally, there's different ways of doing this. I actually would use one drive for Aperture, for my catalog, and then I would sync every night. I would sync the entire contents of that one drive to a second drive.
Okay.
And then if the boat goes down, you don't care anyway.
Well, you're right, but it's not going to go down.
No, of course not. I never should have said that. This is why my wife will not go on a cruise with me, by the way, is that kind of sick humor.
No, but she's missing a great opportunity.
I agree.
And you got to get one with a balcony.
Absolutely. I did a 3-week trip in South America early this year. Next year, we're doing you should go on this, a Mac Mania cruise to Australia.
Oh.
For Macintosh fanatics. It's going to be a lot of fun. InsightCruises.com. I'll give them a plug if you want to come. I'll be on that trip November of next year. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We will live with ease. This portion of the Tech Guy Show is brought to you by Carbonite.com. It's backup done right. Check it out at Carbonite.com. Use my name, Leo. Try it free for 2 weeks. Carbonite.com. I like this. Kyle Benham, our musical director, always picks good stuff. Who is that?
It's Colin Hay.
Colin Hay.
All
right.
Melbourne song.
It's called the Melbourne song. We're playing that for you, for Justin's mom, who's from Australia, from Melbourne. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. We'll get back to the phones here. And Mike in Maine. Hey, Mike, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thanks so much for taking my call, and thanks for your help, because I know you always help me. You have in the past, and I know you will now.
Well, thank you. I hope. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm a radio lover. I have been since God was a kid. And,
me too. I kind of like the medium myself.
I really, really do. And frankly, if I had to choose between TV and radio, I'd choose radio.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, the cable channels and all that. Actually, the other day I was going through my local newspaper, and they don't list all the channels that I get, but they list a number of them. And I went through and I figured, geez, there are 30 I never even turn on. If I could get rid of them, I'd be happy.
Right. I guess in
And that way
Canada
he's looking
they're
at the
trying
other-
out the a la carte thing, but they'll never do it here. They need the money. Those poor cable companies are just going broke.
Oh, I feel terrible for Comcast and Time Warner. Oh, it's awful.
Oh, who's your cable company in Maine?
I'm Time Warner.
Time Warner. Okay.
Time
Do you have
Warner.
Roadrunner internet service?
I do have Roadrunner.
How is that working for you?
It's pretty fair. You know, it's okay.
They
I'm
have
not
a good
using
rep.
very high. Yeah, they're okay. I mean, the prices are incredibly high, and I'm paying much more for it in Maine than my mother pays the same thing in New Jersey. Gets the same thing in New Jersey and pays about $80 less. But
Oh my goodness!
the way it is.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. But in terms of radio, I stream a lot of radio. I stream stations that I can't get particularly well up here, and I broadcast it through the house on my little FM transmitter, and it works great. Absolutely super. But there are times I would like to stream one station for, say, from midnight till 5 in the morning, and then have it shift over to another station from 5 in the morning till whenever. And, you know, that's no problem. I can get the links, and I go and I plug it into whatever media player I happen to be using, and it's all set and it's ready to go. But sometimes if I'm in bed and I'm listening to the radio, which I do, I don't want to get up. And I'm wondering if there's any kind of software that I could set to automatically switch at certain times.
I don't want to get up. Well, let me tell you how I do it. It's not the cheapest way to do it, but I have to say it is easily the best way to listen to anything. It's a company called Sonos, SONOS .com. They make wireless music systems, and they support internet radio. So you can get the Sonos 3 for, I think, a couple $100 bucks. The Sonos 5, which is what I use. I have those all over the house for this. I think it's $3.99. They're pricey. But here's what happens. Do you have Wi-Fi? Of course you have Wi-Fi.
I do have Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So you have to connect one of the Sonos devices, or you can buy a base unit to your internet. And then it broadcasts. Actually, you don't need Wi-Fi. It uses its own wireless. What am I thinking? It broadcasts throughout the house using its own wireless capability, so it doesn't interfere with the Wi-Fi. It doesn't require the Wi-Fi. And you can use it. They have apps for Android, for iPads, and for iPhones. You have one of those?
No, I don't. I'm very old. I have an old V3 Razor.
Well, maybe this isn't the right solution for you then. But if you had one of those, they have software. And so what I do is I lie in bed, and I can choose anything that's on my music systems anywhere, on any of my computers to listen to, internet radio stations. It also supports things like Spotify, Mog, RDO, lots of different internet music services. So it's kind of endless amount of music available, and you can set alarms. So I have my alarms with different, Pandora is another one. I have my alarms with different radio stations set up for different times. You could have it replace one station with another at a given time. All of that. It has a very broad internet radio capability, but you kind of want to. They do sell a standalone Sonos remote, so maybe that's the solution for you. But it's not cheap. That's the negative of it.
Well, the other half of my question is I'm doing this a lot of times when I travel. And I'm in a hotel room, and I'm using their Wi-Fi, and I'm listening to it on my laptop or whatever.
Okay.
And sometimes I'm overseas. I can't get the stream that I want. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it on my computer.
Okay, and by the way, what am I thinking? Sonos does have a laptop-based software as well, so you can control it from your laptop as well. Then your issue is you want to use your computer as the internet radio receiver, right?
Pretty much.
And you want to get it to, when you're traveling, you're fine because you got your computer right there. You could just have speakers going.
Right.
And I'm just trying to think of how your real issue is how do I program it to change channels automatically?
That's basically it. I'm using Windows Media Player. I plug the stream in for whatever radio station I might be listening to, and then when I want to change it, I just copy and paste the other stream and plug it in there. And I'm just trying to find a way to have it change by itself, or when I tell it to change, so I don't have to be by the computer.
There is a Griffin product called the Radio Shark, but I think it's designed for over-the-air radio. But it's programmable. It can record. It can change channels programmatically. If it may support internet. Does anybody in the chat room know? Does it support internet radio? They're suggesting Winamp. Are you on Windows or Mac?
I'm on Windows.
Ah, all right. Winamp might do it.
Okay, I use VLC. I haven't found a way to do it with that.
No.
But I can try Winamp.
I use TuneIn Radio Pro on my smartphone. I wonder if they have it on a Mac. I don't think they have a Windows version of that. That's a really awesome online radio service. Oh, wait a minute. Now, let me see. They do have a website, tunein.com. Wonder if they have programmability there. Yeah, we're getting lots of suggestions from the chat room, but nobody has quite solved this. I guess you could, if you were really wanted to get geeky, you could write a macro or a scheduled task in your Windows computer that would automatically shift the channel. I think the Radio Shark is the way you want to go.
Okay, I'll check that out.
It's not expensive. It's from Griffin, and it does do internet radio. It does have the ability to program recordings, so I would imagine it would also have the ability to change the channels. It's a pretty cool, and it looks like a fin. That's what they call it, a shark, because it's a radio receiver as well. So if you are in an area where there's a live radio station you want to hear, you could hear that too. It's not very expensive. I think that's probably worth looking at. The Radio Shark from Griffin. If to me the quality, the thing that works the best is what I do, and I love it, even though it's a little pricey, is the Sonos. Sonos is amazing. I just really think it's amazing. There's got to be a good software player though for internet radio for Windows that lets you set schedules. Come on, folks, you can help me with this. Set schedules. Any solutions from the chat room? If you want to join us in the chat room, by the way, really a great place to go to not only get answers to questions, but help me answer questions. Just go to irc.twit.tv, and you'll be in our chat room, and you can tell me the answer. DAR FM. Let's see that. DAR.FM. Digital audio recorder. This is kind of neat. So this is a computer program. It's a service that lets you record radio stations. Oh, wait a minute. No, this is a little different. They do the recording for you, don't they? Yes. These guys, I wonder how long they're going to be around. They record radio shows off the air and then let you listen to them on their website. I think that these guys may be a little bit in trouble. And aptly, and we've talked about them before, they make a great program, APPLIAN.com, called Replay TV. They have a radio feature as well that lets you record radio shows. Replay AV is the program you want. That would do it too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Fool all drunk. Hear me, this is powerful stuff.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Talking about automation. I know it's expensive, but I really think the Sonos is just such a great solution. You put it in your house. We have them here in the studio. We have a Sonos in every office. I can control it with software. I could put music on it. I could put radio on it. One of the reasons we have it is we could put our internet station on it, the TWiT station, and listen in every room. I mean, you could do anything. And then we were talking off the air. I was talking with the chat room. By the way, again, the chat room, great place to go to find answers to these kinds of questions. Website is techguylabs.com. And we were talking about this Up Band. I ordered one of these from Jawbone. And I'll have it for next week, and I can review it. This is a bracelet you wear. Has memory. Also has an accelerometer in it. And ties into some iPhone software. And so what it does is it tracks your movement. So it's like a pedometer. When you sleep, it tracks your sleep. So when you were awake, when you were asleep, it'll even wake you up at the right time. So you set an alarm, and then it waits till you're kind of, not deeply asleep, but you're kind of waking up, and then it wakes you up closest to the alarm time. So it doesn't wake you up when you're in a deep REM sleep. That's the time your alarm goes off. You go, I don't want to. It waits till you're a little, you're kind of tossing and turning. Then it says, okay, now you can get up. It also ties in with the iPhone app. You take pictures of your food as you're eating it. Somehow the bracelet remembers that. And then every once in a while, you plug the bracelet into your computer. It's got a USB port. And it uploads all the stuff. It does recognition on the food and tells you how many calories you've had. It tells you what you're up to. It's $100. It's a spy. It spies on your health. And then it just uploads it right to the CIA, right? No. Anyway, I think this is kind of cool. It's called the Up Band. I have a Fitbit, which did the same, sort of did the same thing. It did it wirelessly, though. That was kind of neat. You have the Fitbit receiver. You wear the Fitbit like a pedometer on your belt, and then you have the Fitbit receiver, and then the whenever you get near the receiver, which is connected to your computer via USB, it receives the data, and then it logs it to the Fitbit, site. But you'd have to tell it, I'm going to sleep now. I woke up, so it knows the difference, and it didn't do anything about your food. You had to write that manually. So I feel like this is, for me, easier than going on a diet or exercising or anything like that. Just wear a bracelet. That's my fitness plan. I'm just going to wear a bracelet. See how that works. We're going to get back to the phones in just a second. Rod in Spokane coming up. He wants to save his email forever. Rod in Spokane, Washington. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Rod.
Hey, Guy, how are you doing?
I am great. How are you?
Not too bad, sir. It's been a long time since we talked. I enjoy your show on a regular basis.
Thank you. Glad you're listening.
I try whenever I can. Unfortunately, I wind up in Canadian airspace a lot of the times and can't get you, but that's all right.
Are you a pilot?
No. I run emergency. At 70 years old, I had to find something to keep me out of the bars, and so I run emergency shipments for one of the airports.
Wow, that's cool.
I'm the guys chasing the moose and the caribou and through blinding snowstorms in the middle of the night.
What a job! Wow,
it's kind of fun.
Well, what can I do for you?
Let me talk about the email. Just one thing. If I can recommend a cruise to you sometime.
Yeah.
A Norwegian ferry from Oslo to North Cape.
Wow. How long is that?
It's about 5-6 days. It stops at all the little fishing villages, and I've never met anybody who went on it who did not want to go back.
Oh, Norway is supposedly, it's the one country in Scandinavia I've not visited, and supposedly it's the most beautiful country in Scandinavia. So I'm going to have to make a special trip.
Take a look at it, sir.
I will. Thank you for the suggestion.
No problem. Now, before you think I'm crazy wanting to save so many emails, let me explain to you why. I do archaeology and ancient history as a hobby.
Wow.
And the best Google can do on a search, and I'm not knocking Google because they're the best out there, is about 40% hit rate. I have found if I subscribe to a number of newsletters and journals, I will have information I can't find anyplace else.
Yeah.
And so I've got actually 5 email clients running, and they do different.
All right, here's the solution I'm going to suggest for you.
All right.
I think Thunderbird is probably the right email client for you, and I'll tell you why. It will get email from all your different accounts, and it stores it in a very standard format called Mbox. It's a Unix file format. It's text-based. It's exportable and importable to any other client. It's really the most universal format, and this is a free program, Thunderbird, very powerful. And first, go ahead.
I've got Thunderbird, but it won't go to that capacity, I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 1 million emails, no big deal. I don't think there's any limit on the number of emails.
All right.
Remember, it's saving these as Mbox. They're plain text format. So you could also just take the Thunderbird email folders and put them somewhere. Have it start over, and now you've got a folder with emails from 2007 to 2009.
And if you want to go back and search the archival...
Well, that's the second part and a really important part, and it's a thing called X1. Go to x1.com.
X1.
This is an amazing search program that will search through your email faster, more accurately, as you type than anything I've ever seen before. It is amazing.
I've had X1 for 6 years.
Oh.
I use it in a different way. But you're right. It's probably the fastest search item out there.
And it will search your email.
I know it will, but I just think it was just Thunderbird.
Thunderbird's plain text. It'll search anything.
All right, because the thing I liked about X1 is it'll search PDFs.
Yep. It is an amazing, I don't know why more people don't know about it. I'm glad to hear you know about it.
Oh, yeah. I just, I think I was there when they first kind of started, and I have stuck with them over the years, and I have to hundreds of people.
It would absolutely search through Thunderbird because those M-Box formats are such a standard format. It'll probably do it better on Thunderbird than it would do on anything else.
Let me play with it and give it a try, and I'll go from there.
Yeah, and then even if Thunderbird won't hold 1 million, you probably don't want to hold 1 million in your inbox. What you would do is archive yearly, and just put those archives, 2010 archive, in a folder. X1 will still search it; it doesn't care.
Gotcha. No, I will pursue that right away. I appreciate that. Can I ask you another question real quick?
Sure.
I am absolutely in love with Zone Alarm's firewall, and everybody else with antivirus wants to put their firewall up. Can you turn off their firewall?
I don't recommend getting the big packages. I recommend just an antivirus. That's why I like Nod 32. They have a big cybersecurity suite. Get just the antivirus, not the suite. And then you can use your firewall of choice. I'm not a fan of Zone Alarm. I think they're overkill. Frankly, I think your best solution is to have a router. Even if you only have one computer, that router sits between you and the outside world and is a dumb box. It's a great firewall. And then turn on the built-in Windows firewall. That's all you need. It won't slow you down. It won't get in the way. You won't get weird pop-ups. You won't get weird security problems. And then use Nod 32 as your antivirus. That's what I do. I think that's the best security solution. It keeps your machine light and fast. And a router is an excellent firewall. See, what happens, a router just bounces stuff off of it. You go, I don't know, what do you want? And it just bounces off of it. Hey, great to talk to you, Rod. Thanks for the call. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls to come. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. It's a new thing I'm trying out. See how, long vowels. Tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo's a phone number. No, see, it's not going to work. I'm going to stop that right now. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. You want to talk about computers and the internet? Sure. Cell phones. That's really the future, isn't it? Sure. We can talk about home theater. Our gadget guru coming up about an hour and a half from right now, Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. He'll have a gadget for us. We're talking about that gadget, that health gadget. This is a very hot category right now. Talking about that Jawbone Up, the bracelet you wear that monitors your activity, your sleep patterns, your food, and then uploads it to your insurance company so they can... No, I don't think it does that. Uploads it to their website, though, where you can, kind of monitor how you're... How you're behaving. Seems like it'd be a nice thing to have, kind of to help you out with your exercise regimen, your diet. And what they're starting to recognize is how important sleep is. So I think monitoring your sleep, that's cool too. Tell you, well, you're not sleeping enough. I think you're supposed to also enter somehow your mood. So you could see how cranky, you don't need a program to do that, how cranky you get when you don't have your coffee or when you don't get enough sleep or both. This is a very hot category, though. There's a website called Runkeeper that has done a little pivot. If you go to runkeeper.com, you can see the site. It was originally for runners to keep track of their runs, their maps, Android and iPhone apps, and you'd share it with your friends and, track, measure, and improve your fitness. Started about runs, but they have created a database now of all your health information. So I think in some ways this is the future, as long as there's privacy, right? Gots to be some privacy. Otherwise, when I have those dozen Krispy Kremes and my insurance company revokes my health insurance, that could be a problem, couldn't it? Bob in Victorville, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bob.
Good morning, Leo.
Good morning. Thank you.
What I'm looking for is I believe it's a USB sound card, because all I have left in the computer are PCIs.
Wait a minute. Your computer doesn't have a sound chip?
Oh, yeah, it has onboard sound, but I'm looking to better that.
Ah, you want something better.
Yes. and probably $300 less. I've got about 800 vinyl and about, I don't know, probably about 50 of the old tapes.
Yeah, there are a number of companies that make what these are DACs, digital analog converters. They take the digital sound out of the computer, usually via USB. They have they look like a python that swallowed a mouse. And the mouse inside is circuitry that takes the digits, the bits, and turns it into an analog sound, which you could then put in a stereo system. Hey, John, what was that digital audio converter that we reviewed? Remember, it was really high quality. You remember the name of that thing? It was expensive. John is our resident audiophile, my studio manager. Wait a minute, you've got it. This is not it. This is something else. This is called the Nuforce, Nuforce. UDAC was the other one? So the idea of these is, it's exactly what you said. It's a sound card in a box. That's what a sound card does, right? It plugs into your PCI bus, and it takes the digital audio and converts it into analog, those jacks. The problem with that, of course, is that those jacks are sitting there right on the case where there's a ton of radio frequency and noise, and you get buzz and hum and zzz. So these things, they're connect via USB and a cable, and they're outside of the computer box, and they're nice. This is a nicely shielded metal box. It's got a volume control on it. It's got headphones, and it does a much better job. Now, the really good ones do cost your budget was right on, a couple $100.
Okay. And we're looking at a UDAC? It's
a UDAC, but if you go to nuforce.com, this is called the iDo. the iDo, and you could plug this into, they have connectors for iPhones, iPads, iPods. So you would plug it into the 30-pin connector, for instance, of your iPod, and it would take the digital out. The iPod has both analog and digital out. Take the digital out and do the conversion outside it. And remember, if you're making an inexpensive consumer device, you don't want to spend a lot of money on the sound chips.
Okay.
So by having higher quality sound chips, they'll give you better results. This same company, Nuforce, sells very expensive audiophile DACs as well.
Okay. So I guess my question is a USB port any better than something that fits the PCI slot?
Yes, because it's doing the same thing. Remember, the sound card, if you have an Audigy or whatever, is same thing. It's taking bits and turning them into waveforms, analog sound, but it's doing it in the computer where it can be noisier. Plus, these things often don't have very good circuitry. So we take the USB out, and that means it's bits coming out of the computer. They're spilling out of that USB port. They go into this thing, which turns the bits into a waveform. And now you've got, a much cleaner, in theory anyway, a much cleaner waveform. Now, I'm always very nervous about all this audiophile stuff because there's people with golden ears that claim they can tell, oh, no, that's not as good. It's 96 hertz sampling, 9600 hertz sampling, right? What? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But these things, if you want higher quality, I think they do, in fact, do a better job.
Okay.
And now I haven't tried the Nuforce, but John tells me it's really good. The other product that we had tried is from HRT. It's called their music streamer. We did try that, and I was impressed with that. Also, a couple $100. The HRT music streamer. But this Nuforce stuff is pretty impressive looking.
Okay.
I think they've got some pretty good stuff. The idea of these is that they're higher sample rates, higher quality than the digital audio converters in a cheap sound card.
Right. Another quick one is that I'm looking for a photo scanner that self-feeds or that will feed.
So you could take a stack of prints and put it in the scanner, and it'll go...
Yep. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I am a fan of the Epson Perfection scanners. They do have feeds. They have a variety of models depending on your price point. And they are designed specifically, in some cases, for photo scanning.
Okay.
So that's what I would look at. I'm not sure, how a lot of these Epson Perfections not only have feeds, they also have a slide holder or a negative holder.
Oh, okay.
So that's really nice. You do have to do a slightly different thing on a scanner that does negatives, because you're bouncing light not off of it as you would with a print. To scan a print, you bounce the light off of it. To scan a slide or a negative, you have to pass the light through it. So they have lights in the lid of these scanners. I've been very happy. Look at the Epson Perfection photo scanners.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for the call.
Okay, you're welcome.
Great to talk to you, Bob. Now this new phone, this looks pretty cool. My staff says we've been saving this for you in case you needed a gadget. This is pretty cool. Now, this is a headphone. The whole idea of this one is it's got a headphone jack on it, so it would be a better way to have headphones. It's got an amp, too. They make them with RCAs. And they make them with RCAs if you want to connect it to your stereo. Another great source for this kind of information for headphone amps and that kind of thing is headphone.com. I mentioned them last week, and I think they're really a great little company for information about headphones, but they also have amps there. Turns out you're often better off using an external amp or an external converter for really clean sound. 8888 Ask Leo. More calls to come when we come back right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Andres in Huntington Park, California. You're next. Hi, Andres. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello?
Hello, Andres.
Oh, hi, Leo. I'm a second-time caller, and I really like your show.
Thank you. I like you.
Thanks. Well, my question is, how do you update a video card driver on a laptop?
Same way you update it on a desktop. You first have to figure out what the video is. A lot of times on laptops nowadays, the video driver is part of the motherboard drivers, because there's no separate video card. There can be on a laptop, but oftentimes it's just part of the chipset that the laptop's built around. So that's the first thing you have to figure out. And you can do that in the Are you in Windows?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can do that in the device manager. Look in the devices. It's part of the system properties control panel, and it'll tell you what the video is. Chances are the best thing to do really is to... Who makes your laptop?
Sony.
Yeah, go to the Sony site. Good luck. And see if you can find updated drivers for your laptop. And those will include video drivers, and most likely they'll include video drivers as part of the motherboard. So it won't be separate necessarily from the drivers. It won't say this is the video driver. It'll just say motherboard drivers. Why do you want new drivers?
Oh, because I play this game called Minecraft, and then it says there's an outdated video card driver, so the game doesn't work properly.
Well, that's annoying. Minecraft should be easy. It's an 8-bit game. Anything should be able to play Minecraft. So that's interesting. Maybe the chat room has some suggestions on that one. I know there's quite a few Minecraft players in our chat room. I would guess, I'm pretty sure Minecraft is Java-based. So... Yeah. I'm wondering if there's an issue with Java.
I downloaded all the things for it to play, but it still says you need to update your video card driver, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Chat room's telling me that despite the 8-bit look of Minecraft, it is in fact a little bit of a graphics hog. Isn't that funny? You wouldn't expect it. It's not rendering lots of pixels and triangles. I wonder if does it use OpenGL? So I guess here's the thing. What I would do is go to the Sony site, see if you can find updated drivers for your particular laptop, get everything they offer. Which will...
So is it going to be like a physical card, or it's just going to be a...
No, when they say driver, it's just software.
Oh, okay.
You also should run Windows Update. I presume you're running Windows Update regularly.
Oh, I haven't used the laptop in a while, and that's why.
Ah, there's your problem. So it's a pretty old laptop?
Yeah, it's Sony Vaio.
Yeah. So first thing to do, get online if you can and download, run Windows Update, get everything installed, but look also at the optional updates. One of them may, in fact, be specifically for your Vaio, for OpenGL or DirectX, and they may make the difference. I think Windows Update would be the key on this one.
Oh, okay.
Just run it and run it and run it. Make sure you not only get all critical updates. That's important. I'm concerned that you're running without that. You want to make sure you do that right away. But you might also look at the optional updates. Now, there'll be some you don't want. You don't really need the Catalan translation of Windows, so you can ignore the languages, things like that. But you look for something like a new video driver, OpenGL driver, DirectX driver, that kind of thing. And that will, I think, help. Anybody play Minecraft? You play Minecraft a little bit? Yeah. I played it a little bit. Too much work. I don't have time. You got it. But people have done. There's somebody who's done a Minecraft of this studio, for instance. So Minecraft is this really kind of interesting game. You play on remote servers, but usually you're playing by yourself, right? There aren't other Minecrafters in your world, or maybe there are. I don't know. They're running around, and the idea is it looks like an 8-bit game. It's very clunky, chunky graphics, and you have what is, I guess, your hand. It looks like a piece of 2x4. That you hit stuff with, and you break stuff up, and then you collect materials, and then you can use those materials to build other things. It's odd, to say the least. It's if you had showed me Minecraft and said, "This is the next big thing," I would have said, "What?" But it is. It's huge. It is huge. Anybody wants to call in and explain Minecraft to all of us? I will entertain your call. Moving on to Ruben. I'm sorry, not Ruben. Ruben, you're coming up. Joyce in Hollywood. Hi, Joyce. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
I tell you, my heart won't stop pounding. I've been trying to get through to you for years. I feel like this is a miracle.
It's a miracle. Down on your knees, Joyce. Well, I'm glad you got it. I apologize. I know it's hard to get in. I wish it were easier. Actually, no, I don't. You know why? I'm glad it's hard to get in. That means there's lots of people listening and calling.
Absolutely.
But I'm glad you made it.
Questions.
All right.
Okay, the first one is regarding my cell phone. I live at the base of the Hollywood Hills and have the world's worst reception. Right now, in order to speak with anybody, I generally have to stand outside the street to get a signal.
That's horrible. Now, who's your carrier, Joyce? Who's your cell phone company?
Sprint. And I tell you, Sprint, if you're listening, as soon as I can, I'm going to take this phone and smash it against the wall. Of course, I have the same problem with AT&T.
Well, that's the thing. Now, every carrier will let you do a test run, because for free. So what I would do is, so now we know Sprint stinks. Now we know AT&T stinks, so I guess it means Verizon's next. And actually, my experience with Verizon in your area is it's pretty good.
Yeah, now here's the other thing. This is not a smartphone. As I was telling your screener, I am probably the last of the holdouts. I do not do, Leo, please forgive me. I know this is going to sound sacrilegious, but I do not do the Internet. I do not even have email. It's an expense I can't afford at this
Well,
point.
I don't blame you. It's not sacrilege. I don't think there's any requirement that anybody be online by any means.
Yeah, well, it's just that I know that if I had a smartphone and did the Internet, I'd get the better signal. But
no, you wouldn't.
What?
No, whoa, no. In fact, many of the smartphones, especially the iPhone, have terrible antennas.
Wow.
So you may be lucky. Now, what I would so first of all, I would try Verizon and see if it's better, and explain to them when you go to the Verizon store, say, hey, I have terrible reception. I want to try this in my house, but I've never had a problem. I've had the same thing happen where a phone wouldn't work in my old office in my house, and so I said, I can't. It doesn't work. And they say, fine, no problem. We'll take it back. Well, you're off the hook. They might charge you a restarting fee on a smartphone, but on a inexpensive dumb phone, what they call a feature phone, I don't even think you'll have to pay a penny. The other thing that you might want to look into is something that is technically called a femtocell, but most of these. Yeah, I know. Never mind. Just remember microcell. Microcell. Okay. Many carriers sell microcells. Oh, but you don't have any internet. Never mind.
Okay.
What these things do is they plug into your internet and they turn into little mini cell tower in your house using your internet. Yeah, but since you don't have the internet, it's not. Well, you don't have the internet, so it ain't gonna help you. Hang on the line, because Joyce, you got through. You won the lottery, and I want to give you your prize, which is another question. When we continue right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So Justin, who's in the studio, he's our 13-year-old iOS developer, wrote that great program. We talked to him a couple of weeks ago called Help Me! No, help now. Don't buy the... Oh, that's the wrong one. Help now. Don't help me. Help now. That's a problem. We got to work on that. Ayuto. Mayday, mayday. Help now on the iPhone. But he suggests a website called tested.com. And they test a lot of things. But one of the things they tested were these cell phone boosters that you put it in the window. So she was saying she can get a signal on her street. She just can't get it in the house. So you put this thing outside on the window, or I guess, as far out of the house as you could. And then it has wires, of course, and leads back. It puts an antenna in the back, and it has an amplifier. And it actually does work to give you cell signal. As long as you can put one end where there is a signal, you can get cell signal somewhere else by just putting an antenna there. So it's basically a passive solution. What was the name of it, Justin? Do you remember? Yeah, well, we'll find it for you. But so that's another way to go. I think you should try another carrier, to be honest with you. That seems like the better way to go. Soho, S-O-H-O. Yeah, my little phone guy down the road uses that because what a mistake. He bought a store. He wanted to move. Petaluma Wireless Group, they're called, and they wanted to move. They moved into another store, and they're selling cell phones, but there was no wireless signal in the store. Same problem. You go in the back of the store, there's nothing. So he got one of these Soho units, put the antenna out on his sign, goes all the way in, and he's got cell signal. Hollywood Hill's tough because, of course, they block the antennas. So it may be that going to Verizon doesn't improve things. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Aaron's calling from Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, Aaron. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you doing today?
I am well, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. This is Aaron B. from the chat room again to bug you.
Oh, man.
Just another stalker bugging you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, chat room. Hello, ships at sea. Here's my question to you. Here's the thing. I wanted to become an early adopter. I was caught. My imagination was caught. I had a vision a number of weeks ago. I had a vision of this fellow named Paul Thurrott. He was flying through the air and landed on this pile of bean bags, and I thought to myself, well, there's a man I can get behind.
I'm just gonna let you go with this, Aaron, and see where you end up. I'm not interrupting.
Well,
I'm gonna let you go. You started it. You began it. This is all yours, baby.
Yeah, what happened was, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to learn to code, sort of my own little Hello World program in Mobile 8. The Windows 8.
You mean you want to start developing for Windows Phone?
Yeah. You know what I mean? I figured, why not? It's become an early adopter.
Aaron, have you done any programming before?
Absolutely not, and that's why I wanted to get in. I figured that's the way to do it.
Sure, why not start? Actually, if I were starting out in programming these days, I would probably write for a mobile platform. You know what? I should ask Justin, because he's here. He's 13 years old. He took a 2-week course, summer camp for iOS programming. Now, but you had studied programming a little bit before, yeah? Just a little bit? And you were able to, in 2 weeks, learn enough so that you could... The good news is that there are lots of books. There's lots of information out there. Now, I have to say more so for iOS and Android than there is for Windows Phone 7, because you have to use, of course, different tools in Windows Phone. I believe it's a form of .NET programming that you'd be doing in Windows Phone 7. But even if you were a .NET programmer, you would have to for the desktop, you'd have to kind of relearn some of this because the libraries are different and so forth. I don't know what resources there are for learning how to program Windows Phone 7. If you wanted to learn how to program iOS, the iPhone, the iPad, now Justin went to a Stanford camp, but Stanford actually puts its very, very famous undergraduate course on iPhone programming up on iTunes U. It's an amazing course. They update it every year. They have all the course materials available completely free. You could get a Stanford education in iPhone programming for free. All you have to do is go to, in fact, I think it's the #1 download in iTunes U. Android, there are similar programs like that. I don't think there's a huge demand at this point for Windows Phone programming, to be honest, because they haven't sold very many handsets. Well, fortunately, our chat room is up on this, and Web 2984 recommends Charles Petzold's book, and actually, Charles is great. He writes really good books. He has one called Programming Windows Phone 7, and it's free. It's a 1,000-page ebook. How about that? You get it as a PDF. All the sample codes available as a zip. Now, that's a good deal. Programming Windows Phone 7. Microsoft published this book, and I guess they're really giving it away because they want you to get going and start writing, Aaron. They're talking to you, Aaron. There's also a guy in our chat room, a guy who I believe works for Microsoft, who is a Windows Phone programmer and wrote an app for us, a wonderful TWiT app for Windows Phone 7. His name is Dimitri Lialin. So, Aaron, since you're in the chat room, keep your eye peeled for Dimitri. And Dimitri, if you're listening, you might give Aaron some additional advice in our chat room. But this looks like a great start. A 1,000-page book on programming Windows Phone 7. I'm not, I think it'd be helpful to have some programming experience, perhaps. Justin, how did you... You write iPhone software in Objective-C, which is an oddball language. Did you know any programming? Not really. No, you didn't study. Just a little C maybe and that kind of thing. I guess this is, you might as well learn by doing. How about that, Aaron? Charles Petzold. I know Charlie. He's great. Charles Petzold, PETZOLD.com. And you can download the book from there. That's a good start. I'm sure there are other Microsoft programming library books on it as well. This one is not Mango. This is pre-Mango. This is the original. It's pre-Nodo. It's the original Windows Phone 7, but I'm sure they're close enough. There's new stuff in Mango, though, that you would want to learn, but I think if you learn the basics, you can then add the Mango features later. Ruben's in Montana. Hey, Ruben, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, I got a question for you. I love the show and love the network.
Well, bless you. Thank you.
Anyway. Yeah, so my question is, I got a real small business here, and I'm a mechanical engineer, and I have a couple of CNC machines, and I do this prototype build thing that's kind of a niche market.
Ooh, but I bet right now it's a great market.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I get to work on a lot of real neat stuff.
Yeah, I bet there are a lot of inventors out there who are very interested in, say, hey, I got this idea. Can we prototype it? That kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely, and it's kind of neat because you just work on something different every day, from a model train idea to professional camera equipment or something.
Cool.
So.
Well, hang on the line.
So
I'm going to take a break, Ruben. We'll talk to you and answer your question right after these words from our sponsors. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Chat room's talking about this new service and site called PageOnce.com. Not a great name, because if I told you, what is PageOnce, you might say, is it I don't know, maybe a bookstore, or no, it's a financial site. To compete with Mint, which is owned by Intuit, the idea is you enter in all of your financial records, and they budget, they give you reports, and they have a new feature, bill pay for a fee. iPhone and Android apps as well. I've used Mint for a long time. I like Mint a lot. BlackBerry, too, by the way. That's cool. But PageOnce is pretty impressive. I do think that it is probably a Mint substitute. So to answer your question in the chat room, yes, I like PageOnce, and I think well worth looking at. But meanwhile, we're going to get back to our caller from Montana, Ruben. He had a question for us, and I had to cut you off, Ruben. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, no problem, Leo. Yeah, so I have a business, and I sometimes struggle with to getting work, and my question for you is, what are your thoughts on using podcasts and maybe like how-to videos as a promotional tool? And I guess the idea there would be I just could run it through the design process and that kind of stuff.
Love it. Love it. So here's, I'm going to actually, it's funny, on Tuesday I'm giving a speech to a conference of marketers, internet marketers, about exactly this subject. How do Mark? You know, it's funny because the digital technology has given us all the tools to create. We've got the internet to distribute. The one thing that the big companies, the movie companies, the TV companies, the music companies did, the book publishers did, was marketing. That's the thing that's hardest to replicate. They'd help you publicize what you were doing. So now we can create all this stuff. We can do our own thing, but marketing becomes a big challenge. So how do we market? Well, there's in the world of storytelling, there's a thing called transmedia storytelling. I think George Lucas really was the guy who put this thing on the map. The idea being, if you're a storyteller, you have a story that has many entry points: a comic book, a movie, a television show, a radio show. Why would you do that? Well, the more entry points, the more way people can get into your universe, the more likely you'll have a growing audience, right? Some people like comic books, so you have Star Wars comic books. Some people prefer video games, so you have Star Wars video games. Now, that's for a story, a movie, a plot. But it actually applies to what we do too, Ruben, because really Ruben is a story. What you do is a story. And you want to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. You want to reach out to as many groups as possible, have as many people know about what you do as possible. And so in a way, that's the same thing. The more entry points, the more places people can get traction on you, the better. So the answer to your question is, of course, the more you put yourself out there, the better. But then you also have to consider, well, what am I going to be interested in? What am I going to have time to do? What am I going to do on a continuing basis? I don't want people to listen and say, "Oh, good," and they go out and they buy all this broadcast equipment and then say, "Well, I can't. I don't want. How do I do this?" It's got to be something you like anyway. So I would say everybody must start, and I'm sure you've already done this, with a web page.
Yep. Yeah,
And,
I got one.
Yeah, and the easiest now, a web page starts as a brochure. So it's Ruben's machine shop or whatever it is. What is the website?
It's machinethis.com.
I like it. Okay. I think Ruben gets it, because a good name is half the job, isn't it? Who's going to forget machinethis.com? Good start. Now, it's a brochure, but very important that you have stuff on this site that brings people back again and again. And that's where blog posts, how-to videos, anything that you can do to add new content to this is great. Now, I have to say, I'm very impressed with this site. You've got a big... Did you do this yourself?
I did. I got a template in WordPress.
I like it, though, because you've got an action item, a big button right in the front that says Get Started. I like that. That's a call to action that says, let's do something. Now, in this case, it's just sending them a form. Yeah. Maybe you could add some more to that, like what do we do step by step? You kind of have that underneath: design, machine, experience, integrity. Maybe this Get Started button could, next to that form that they fill out, have a video or an animation that shows a case study. Something you did for somebody. So that I can, as a potential customer, I can look at you, I can see you doing the job, I can see what you do, I can see how it might look. Those kinds of things are valuable. You know, when I see a form and I don't know, well, how much I have all these questions I'd like to have answered before I even, maybe I'll fill out the form, but I'd like to know, well, what is it that you do? How much does this cost? How long does it take? What can I expect? And so that's where I would put some effort into things like that.
Well, I appreciate it, Leo. I think that's a good place to get started.
Yeah, you don't have to do a podcast necessarily. I'd focus it around your web page. But the idea of a podcast is it's a show that you're putting out on a regular basis. I don't know if that's really what you should put your energies into. I'd say start doing some videos on how it works, how the process works, some case studies, maybe some references from clients. Oh, Ruben was amazing. I had this great idea for a board game but I needed some pieces tooled, and Ruben did it fast and effectively. Look how beautiful they are. That's the kind of thing that if you come to this site, you might want to know about. And you know that if they're cool, maybe other people will find out about you through YouTube, things like that. That's another tip, by the way. Don't just put them on your site. Put them on YouTube. In fact, let YouTube serve the video and embed the YouTube video on your site. Make sure it's on YouTube, because that's where the people are, right? That's where they go to look for videos. And you want somebody who's searching for precision machining, for instance, to see, oh, here's a video on YouTube about it. So have a website. Enrich that website with a variety of multimedia. But whatever you can do, whatever makes sense in the context of your business. That's the key. This is going to be a fun speech. I'm looking forward to it because it's a bunch of marketers. I don't consider myself a marketer, but I think that I have some ideas about the future of marketing, the future of advertising, the future of broadcasting, and that's kind of what I want to talk about because that's kind of what I'm doing. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. We'll take more calls in just a second. In fact, my next call is going to be Manuel in Corona. He has somebody singing on a cassette tape that he wants to put on his hard drive, maybe make a CD out of. I can help you do that. We'll do that in just a bit. Line 5, Manuel, Corona. Hi, Manuel. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call. I have a couple of analog to digital conversion questions. I successfully transferred some DHS tapes to DVD with a Roxio system, but then it had the Roxio sound editor on there. I tried to transfer a audio tape of my mother singing, and it's very muted. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Maybe it's not a good program. I'm not sure. Maybe you can recommend something else that I should be using.
Yeah, I'm not real fond of Roxio anymore. What you need two things. You need an analog to digital converter. We were talking earlier in the hour about digital to analog conversion, where we take the bits in the computer and put them out for a sound system. It's the opposite direction. You got to take the sound system's audio and turn it to bits. Tell you what, we're going to take a break for your local news. Hang on, and I'll help you. There's some really good solutions out there to do this automatically. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and it's time to talk about technology. Computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders. Camcorders? No. Probably won't talk about camcorders. Cameras, MP3 players. No, probably won't talk about MP3. PDAs? No, not that either. It's amazing, really. I've been doing this show for 20 years. And when I started talking about computers on the radio, it was literally computers on the radio. It was Windows and Mac, and that's it. And then the internet kind of crept into that, the mid-'90s. And then in the early 2000s, we started talking about MP3 players. Digital photography around about that time also started becoming big. Camcorders became digital. The still cameras became camcorders. The phones became still corders and camcorders. The phones become MP3. It's all collapsing into phones right now. Since the iPhone came out in 2007, really, the most interesting area in all of technology has been phones. But there's always something new. The device I was talking about last hour, the bracelet you wear that monitors your health, there's always something interesting, something new, something exciting. So that's what we talk about, is this changing world of ours and how technology can help you have a more fun, a better life, be better at work, create stuff. That's what we do. Phone number, if you have a question about it, you want some help, is 8888 Ask Leo. Manuel is on the line from Corona, and he has a cassette tape of your. Is it your mom singing?
Yeah, my sister and I found it about 2 weeks ago, and she's gone, and we like to preserve that.
Yeah, I had a similar situation. My mother-in-law, actually my wife's grandmother, so my grandmother-in-law, used to tell a story every year at Thanksgiving about a turkey. And they had a cassette recording of it. And, of course, the problem with cassettes, in fact, same problem with videotapes, camcorder tapes, anything with those moving tapes with little magnetic material on them, as time goes by, those things age, they start to flake and fall apart. You've got to get them off of the cassette as soon as possible. Now, once it's digitized, oh, heaven, it'll last forever, right? It'll never, you can make an infinite number of perfect copies of it. You can keep it on a hard drive. You can burn it to CD. You can email it to other family members. So this is absolutely a worthwhile project. So I got started when we ran out of time. The primary goal here is the same thing you did when you digitized your video, which is to take the analog audio signal from the cassette and turn it into bits, which you can put on the hard drive.
Okay.
So there are a lot of ways to do that. Do you have a sound card?
Whatever came with the computer, I have a...
Yeah, most computers, if you look on the back, or even a laptop, if you look on the side, they have some form of input. A desktop will have both a mic input and a line input.
Oh, I have like the line input. It's like you want to have mic in.
Yeah, mic, you could try both. The difference between a mic and a line in is that mic levels a different level. So sometimes it's too loud if you use the mic. But here's the deal. What I would do is go to Radio Shack and get a cable. Do you have a cassette player?
Yes.
Inspect that cassette, by the way. Make sure it's in decent shape.
Okay.
Because it may, you want to be really careful. If it looks like the ferrite coating on the Mylar is starting to flake off, then you want to stop and you want to bring this to a service that does this. Because they can do it more gently. You don't want to destroy the tape before you get the data off of it. Right. So if it looks at all flaky, I'd be a little careful. You know what they used to do, and they probably still do this? You can, on recording tape, if you bake it, literally in an oven, you can get it to play back once, and then it just fragments. So it is possible to recover these old Mylar tapes, and I'm not recommending, Manuel, that you bake your mom's tape. I'm just saying that these service bureaus have techniques. But if the tape's in decent shape and you have a cassette player and you can play it, I don't think they bake compact cassettes. This is reel-to-reels. I wouldn't recommend baking a cassette. If you can play it back on the reel-to-reel, or cassette player, the cassette player probably has some form of output. At minimum, it has a headphone jack. If you're lucky, it will also have an RCA, pair of left and right RCA jacks. Whatever kind of output. You'll take that, you go to Radio Shack and get something that will fit that and something that will fit the back of your computer. The back of your computer is most likely a mini phono jack. It might just be a mini jack to a mini jack. It might be RCA to mini jack. And then you can use software that records audio. Frankly, there's a free one that's great called Audacity.
Okay.
It's an open source program that's fantastic, and that's all you really need. In fact, that comes with a lot of capture cards and capture boards and so forth. It's a free audio recorder and editor. And you do want the editing. It's audacity.sourceforge.net.
Will this let you do, like, different tracks and stuff for the different songs?
It will.
Okay.
It will. And then you will probably use your CD burning software, Roxy or whatever, to burn it onto a CD. But what the first job is to get it into the computer.
Right.
Make lots of copies, back up, get Carbonite, back it up so you don't lose it. Now, there are companies, if you're doing a lot of this, there are companies that make hardware that will do this. Ion and others, even the old, remember Crosley radios? There's a Crosley, I don't know if it's the same company or not, still around that makes, I see these at CES every year. They look like old-time radios. They're actually, they're for playing back records and recording them onto CDs. They also have ones with cassettes in them.
Oh.
So, but unless you do this all the time, it's about $100. They're not very expensive. They're kind of cool. If you needed a turntable, I would do this.
Well, I have a bunch of old records too with my conversion.
Oh, well, then look at the Crosley stuff is actually really quite good. It makes it very easy. And then you can put Mom's cassette in the cassette player on the Crosley and it would actually burn a CD for you. Right at that thing. So it's CROSLEY.com. I do wonder if it's the same Crosley as used to make the old wood radios in the good old days. I don't know. It could probably is a Japanese or Chinese or Korean company that bought the name. But in any event, They will do this, and they have a lot of products for this particular kind of stuff. So yeah, if you have a record collection too, they make Crosleys that have turntables and cassette players, and they have a CD burner in it. You don't even need a computer.
Do you have time for one more question?
Sure.
Yeah, I want to convert some old Hi8 tapes also. And is there a specific camcorder you recommend that's going to...
I don't think you can buy a Hi8 camcorder anymore. I think you're going to have to bring this to a service bureau, unfortunately, that has these. You know, that's what they do. That's what these service bureaus do, is they keep every kind of camcorder out there so they can do exactly this. I don't think you can buy a Hi8 camcorder anymore.
I was looking at used ones on eBay, and there was one that has a USB connect, but the driver doesn't have like Windows 7 on it. It only goes up to Vista.
Yeah.
So,
well, that probably work. That makes me a little nervous. Jensen, they're telling me in the chat room, Jensen makes a $20 cassette deck with USB on it. That would make it really easy.
Jensen?
Jensen, like the car stereo guys.
Right.
Yeah, that would be another way to do it.
Okay.
So a lot of people are doing this, you know. Now's the time, because this stuff will not last. If you can find a Hi8 camcorder, then now you have an analog output, and you need an analog to digital converter for video. And the one I've recommended in the past is the Canopus 80VC 110, and that's this is a little pricey. Canopus. Canopus. We'll put a link in the show notes. It'll give you the best results, though. Turn you into a service bureau. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the number we're talking about. All sorts of stuff, including moving from the digital to the analog to the digital. Taking your old stuff and getting it into the present. Certainly a good thing to do sooner than later. I did the family slides. Actually, my sister did. It was about a year ago. And it wasn't cheap, but it was worth it, because now these slides of my youth, of my sister's youth, of going actually right up until about 10 years ago, because I was still shooting film until about 10 years ago. So it's really an important record, and we wanted to get them on hard drive. Now, once you've got them on hard drive, of course, and you're doing all the backup and preserving them, but you've got copies. You know, we gave DVDs to my mom, my dad, my sister, and me, so all four of us have all the images. I uploaded some of them. Actually, I think I uploaded all of them to a private area on the internet called SmugMug. It's a great photo sharing site, but you can make private folders. So they're safe there. We've got multiple copies. You know, and now they're really much safer than when they were just slides in a carousel. There was only one. So converting them not only preserves them, it also keeps you from losing them ever. So it's worth doing. Mike, Pasadena, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Been listening to you for years. I'm not a tech guy, but you at least make me sound intelligent when I talk about it. So,
thank you.
Question: I've had internet, television, internet, and phone through my cable company for years. Just moved to a new area. Not impressed with their cable service, and seeking out whether or not I should move to satellite for at least the internet and the TV portion of it, and then just use my cell phone for my phone service.
Well, I think unbundling isn't a bad idea. You know, the bundling really benefits the bundler, not the bundlee. I always thought, there could be an advantage in billing or something, but it doesn't really seem to be that way, and you certainly don't save money doing that. So unbundling, not a bad idea. I do not recommend satellite internet if you have any other choice at all.
Really? Okay.
It's very expensive to get started. You got to get a dish. You got to get the equipment. It's very limited in speed, and it's really limited in upload speed. If you think about it, for you to have a satellite uplink is difficult. So the speed of the upload is about dial-up speed, maybe even a little less, which means you can't use Skype, you can't play video games, you can't have a website. I mean, it's just not adequate. So if you have a choice, if you can get DSL or cable internet, I would. Now, of course, you want to get the best you can get, but in Pasadena, you should have some decent choices. Have you? Who do you have right now? Your cable company?
It's a Charter Communications.
Yeah. Well,
they're a little bit weaker. I've had Time Warner for a million years, and they
you
were
got
great.
spoiled by Roadrunner. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the internet actually isn't too bad. It's just the cable service is real. The TV service is really my
you could always be a cord cutter and try to use their internet to get all your shows. That's kind of what I was talking about at the beginning of the show today. It's the latest thing. All the kids are doing it. You do give up stuff. You give up live sports. You give up, Academy Awards. You give up live local news. Unless, of course, you're in Pasadena, you could put up an antenna and you could get all those things over your antenna.
That's true. What is the your favorite DSL provider doesn't provide service everywhere, so that's part of my problem.
Who's your phone company? Depends who your phone company is.
Well, right now I'm using this Charter, but I think that Pasadena is Verizon.
It's Verizon, yeah. So the way it works, and pity the poor independent DSL provider because this is a tough business. So the way it works is every area has an incumbent local phone company, incumbent local carrier. It could be AT&T, it could be Verizon. There are also lots of little ones, but everyone has the company that owns the copper that is in your house. That's your ILEC, your incumbent local area carrier. Now, they're required by FCC rules to let other internet service providers piggyback on those lines. They own the copper. It's theirs. And in most cases, they also offer their own internet service. But the FCC, the big, bad, evil FCC, has made them let other companies use their central offices and their lines. They don't like that too much, as you might imagine. These other companies are competing with them. Plus, they get calls from clients who aren't really clients of theirs saying, there's something wrong with the lines. So they're not crazy about companies like DSL Extreme, and yet, in most cases, I'd prefer to work with DSL Extreme or the independent internet service provider than the phone company, because phone companies are so horrible in customer service. So often the independent company is a good intermediate. So I don't know. You should visit their website. They can tell you right away if you give them the phone number and the address if you can use DSL Extreme. But if you can't, there will be other companies that
Don't you need to have a home line through the...
You only need to have the copper. You do not need to have phone service.
Okay.
You do not need to have phone service. In fact, I get my phone service and DSL at home through a local independent internet service provider.
So you are not anti-satellite. I mean, satellite...
I am anti-satellite. It's terrible.
No, I mean just for the TV service.
For TV, it's great. We have DirecTV here. We love it. I think Dish and DirecTV are fine. No, they're fine for TV. They they have fewer interactive features, because they're satellite, not a cable. But I wouldn't necessarily hesitate to unbundle the whole thing and get the best phone service, the best internet service, and the best TV service. And if that's 3 different companies, so be it. So what?
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Leo. I appreciate
Sure, Mike.
it.
My pleasure. Yeah. Always investigate. If you have Verizon or AT&T or whoever your local carrier is, they will offer internet service, and it'll be easy and simple because, you get it with your phone bill. But I would always investigate, and not merely for price, but also for better service and support and that kind of thing. I would investigate your local independent internet service providers. Usually there's at least one, if not more. The FCC requires that. But remember, the phone company hates it. They only do it because they have to. They don't. That's the only. They would. And by the way, the FCC never required this of cable companies. They could have. You notice your cable company, Comcast, Time Warner, Charter, they don't have other internet service providers over that same copper. No, because the FCC said you can keep your monopoly. They never required it. The original thinking was, well, they put a lot of money into wiring it up. It was a newer industry than the phone industry, so they got some, a decade or two of kind of, monopolies. But I think the time has come to open up the cable because, of course, competition's good for you. It's good for all of us. If it weren't for the fact that most of us really only have 2 possible internet service providers, our phone company and our cable company, prices would be lower. There'd be more choice. You wouldn't have to worry about things like net neutrality because competition would take care of it. Problem is, there isn't competition because the FCC created a duopoly. The phone company and the cable company, and that's it. Somebody in our chat room, VQ, says, I like Monopoly because the money is different colors. That's a different kind of Monopoly. Leo Laporte, although that is quite nice, too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls to come right after this. Ask Leo. I think we're in... It's, you know what? It's everything. We're in a period of transition. Let's just face it. The Chinese proverb, may you live in interesting times. It's actually a curse, isn't it? May you live in boy, do we live in interesting times. One of the reasons I believe we're going through such economic upheaval is it's because in every industry, in every business, we are in the process of a major transformation. We are transforming from an industrial nation to a post-industrial information nation. And that means a lot of jobs will never come back. And we have to reinvent many a business, not just the music industry, the movie industry, the television industry, but every industry, every business. And the engine, in my opinion, the engine of a lot of this is widely available, inexpensive, high-speed internet. Not just for business, but for individuals. We need the engine of economic development, of innovation, sits right on top of that internet. And unfortunately, the way we set it up, some big monopolies who have very little interest in providing you with high-quality speeds and services own this stuff and are not giving it up. And if you want to become a third world nation real quick, you become a third world information nation. That's why when China blocks the internet or Egypt blocks the internet, you just have to shake your head and say, you know, you can do that temporarily, but in the long run, that's the beauty of the internet. It's like water. It has to flow freely. And if it does, when it does, amazing things happen. I'm sitting and looking at Justin here. He's 13 years old. He wrote a program for the iPhone after taking a 2-week summer camp on iPhone programming. It's called Help Now. I got to get it right. Help Now. It's a big help button. It's great. This would be great for teenagers or travelers or kids. You press that help button, it sends an emergency email out, it calls 911. It's a big red emergency button for your phone. Love that idea. But this is a kid who has a business now. He's written software. Would that exist if it weren't for the internet? Absolutely not. Think of all the businesses that exist today that would not exist if it weren't for the internet, including my business. I'd still be on the radio, but during the week, I'd just be sitting around. Wait a minute, that's not such a bad idea. Anna, Pacific Palisades, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Anna.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much. I've been waiting so long and trying to get through for so many months now.
Oh, Anna, well, I'm glad you finally did. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really not a tech person. Matter of fact, I used to listen to you even when I didn't know how to turn the computer on.
Yay! Is that because I have such a easygoing voice it helped you sleep?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I really pay attention, and I've learned so much from you.
Good.
But,
that's my goal.
Pardon?
That is exactly my goal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you
so much to you.
Thank you for letting me know it works.
Oh, absolutely. But this is my dilemma, amongst others, but I'll just give you this one. I'm an artist, and what I'd like to do is take an image of my painting, put it on the computer, transfer it on the computer from my digital camera, and after that, I would like to print cards so I can sell them.
Wonderful idea.
Yeah, from my images. But I know it can be done. I just don't know how to go through the steps. I do have Photoshop Element 7, and I know it can be done on that. I start on it. You know, I go through the image.
Are you on Windows or a Mac?
I'm on Windows.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah, that's one of my main problems.
If you had, for instance, a Mac and iPhoto, you'd be done.
I know.
Because they have cards built right into it. Now, that's really not for what you want to do, which is create a business.
Correct.
So here's what I'm going to suggest. First of all, you're going to want to invest in a good camera with a big sensor because you want as much detail of your images as possible. You're going to want to make sure you have them evenly and flatly lit, that the camera is exactly parallel to the image so you don't get any keystoning. You know, the image is exactly proper. It's not distorted.
Yeah, you're right, because they are distorted, so I have to do them
if you take it from the side, so you're going to need a tripod. You already, I'm sure, have an easel. You're going to want to get that easel and the camera to be exactly parallel, the plane of the camera and the easel. You'll probably want side lights. You can go to the hardware store and get lights, but you want them to be even. So you may want some muslin or a sheet in between the light and the painting so that it smooths out the light. These are all things you'll perfect. But once you have a good image, here's what I would suggest. I mentioned it before, there's a company called SmugMug. SmugMug, and there are a lot of companies that will do this. There's also Blurb, B-L-U-R-B. But I use SmugMug. SmugMug is designed for professional photographers. They upload their images, and then they can turn on e-commerce. And people can take your image and print it as a card, and they do all the work. And they do a beautiful job.
My funds are limited.
Yeah, and I understand, and that's one of the reasons I like this kind of thing. Now, SmugMug is not free.
Okay.
But I think the Pro account, which you might not even need, is I think $140 a year. It's about $12 a month.
Well, that's not.
So it's not horrible. And here's the beauty of it. You pay nothing up front. They print the cards on demand as people buy them. You set the price. They take their cost out. You get whatever the difference is. So if you charge $12 and it costs them $2, you get the difference. So there are a number of companies that do this. We call it sometimes just-in-time or on-demand printing, where you don't pay anything up front. You don't, because that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to order 1,000 cards that sit in your closet.
Correct. And, yeah, exactly.
You want to sell these. And now the disadvantage of this is this means you have to sell it online and online only.
Oh, that's my other dilemma.
Do you want to sell it in stores?
Yes, I prefer to do that because I have access to a lot of stores around here.
Well, then you're going to have to spend money because you have to get those printed, and that comes out of your pocket before you sell them.
But that's an alternative. I didn't even think about the company, the SmugMug.
Yeah, well, SmugMug, Blurb, there are a number of companies that do this. I happen to like SmugMug. They use very high-quality printing, and it isn't just cards. It can be mouse pads, cups, mugs, anything. So you browse around SmugMug a little bit because then you can set up a website that is Anna's Beautiful Images website. People look at your images, and you have a button that says, would you like to buy this image? Yeah, and they can have an art print of it that they can frame.
I know, I've seen beautiful images like that.
Yeah.
It's a dream. Okay.
They do a wonderful job. And that way, you get all of the profit. You don't have to print it. There's no cost up front except the membership for SmugMug, which is not very expensive. But to do this, you will need to spend a little money or get a photographer to come in because you really want to get good images into the computer.
Correct. Well, that sounds good. I'm excited about that.
I love it. In fact, if you go to my website, my personal website, leoville.com.
Leoville, okay.
LeoVille.com, and you'll see there's a photos button there and a SmugMug under the menu, photos menu. You'll go to my SmugMug and, just pick an image, any image. You're not really going to buy it, but you can click on the buy button and see what options are available for it.
Okay.
And including mugs, teapot, everything. And this would be for you, and it would look like your own site. It's really a nice way to go.
I picked myself up off the floor. She walked back through the door. We made love like it was the first time.
Now, what the heck does this have to do with anything?
I was scrambling, and I found I lost it.
Kyle.
Because you lost it.
I get it. I lost it because I lost it. All right, well. Kyle
Well, your
Benham, our
dad
musical director. Now, you know what he does, which is great? He's very modern, very hip. He's a young person, and so he makes a digital playlist of all the songs that he plays on the show. And you can get that playlist on our show notes at techguylabs.com. It's even a Spotify link. So if you have a Spotify account, which I recommend, you could just click that and you could listen to all the songs one after the other, just like Kyle. Thank you, Kyle Benham. He also posted on his Google Plus account, which is Kyle, B-E-N-H-A-M. So this is the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day. Remember, the 5th of November. You saw V for Vendetta, right? This is the day, the big protests. This is the day that Anonymous said they were going to take down Facebook and Fox News. What happened? They didn't. Oh, well. I think it's probably a good idea not to announce a few days ahead of time that you're going to take a site down. I mean, just kind of warns everybody, lets them get ready. Hey, there he is. They were going to take down the Disneyland site, but I guess they didn't do that either.
No way.
Dick DiBartolo is here, Mad Magazine's maddest writer for the last 4 decades. He's also a gadget fanatic. We call him the GizWiz. His website up and running. You can't take it down because it's on Squarespace, gizwiz.biz. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm super fine. Yeah, I have Dr. Mom guarding the door, so no one's going to storm this studio.
So every week, Dick stops by with a kind of fun or interesting gadget. Usually, I have to say, they're not like high-tech gadgets. They're just kind of fun gadgets.
Well, perhaps today, Mr. Let's Put the GizWiz Down. Now, I'm going to talk about a very techie gadget.
Oh.
Well, it's techie, but it's tricky, okay? It's the Nikon Coolpix PJ, and the PJ standing for projection, because it is the only digital point-and-shoot camera I know of, or the only camera I actually know of, that has its own video projector built right in.
How could that be?
How could it be? Well, the funny thing is, the very first, this is the third version of it. The very first time I was at a photo show, and I said to the guy, well, where's the one with the built-in projector? And he said, oh, it's in between the other two. I said, you mean it's no bigger than the rest of your point-and-shoot? And he said, no, it isn't. So looks like a regular point-and-shoot camera, and version 3, the camera has not changed in version 3. It's still a 14-megapixel, 5-time optical zoom, Nikkor lens. But what has changed is that the lumens have increased. So now it was 14 lumens. Now it's 20 lumens. So now you can project a 60-inch picture. Last year, they introduced the ability to project from your computer. And this year, they added a way to project from your iPod or your Touch or your iPhone.
You mean you connect those up to the camera, and the camera then projects?
To the camera, yes. And also, if you have videos on your SDHC card, you can also project those. So like a salesman traveling, you can travel now with an iPhone.
This could be like your PowerPoint projector.
Yeah, exactly, wow. Exactly. Now, the battery life is still an hour, but...
whoa. An hour?
An hour.
Oh, but that's
projection mode.
If you're projecting, you could project for an hour. Oh, okay, that's not so bad.
Well, so you could either buy an optional AC adapter or just buy a second battery. The bad news is the price went up $80, so it's now $429. However, if it doesn't appeal to you that you need the projecting ability from an Apple product, the version 3, which is S1100 PJ, is being widely discounted. I think I saw the lowest price around $220 or $230.
This is kind of a specialty item, but I could see the value of this.
Yeah, I can too, actually.
It'd be fun for parties, too.
I was just going to say, if you go to lots of family gatherings, instead of passing the camera around and everybody trying to look at the little 3-inch screen, just find a blank wall in a darkened room and put on your own little slideshow.
Yeah.
So,
or take, in fact, in their ad, they show, taking pictures of somebody and then projecting that picture on the wall. That's neat. Now, you'd probably have to be in a darkened room, though. I mean, this is not going to be the brightest.
You have to be in a darkened room. So the new one is the 1200 PJ. The one going off sale is the 1100 PJ. which
Now,
will be the cheaper one now.
If you love gadgets, you got to go to Dick's website, Giznyland, gizwiz.biz, Gizwiz.biz.
Game started.
There's a new game, a What the Heck Is It contest. Click the What the Heck Is It button. Now, now that's obviously a Smurf compact, but I'm just curious what those egg cups were. There
was a product called Crack Me Up.
This was last month's What the Heck Is It contest.
Exactly. And one side has a cutter on it, and so you scored the hard or soft-boiled egg. You ran that around, and it made a slit in the middle of the egg, and then you parted the egg, and the egg sits in those two cups.
So they really were egg cups. I was joking when I said that.
I know you were. That's why I couldn't let on that you were for the first time in
That's
6
right,
years.
and I didn't know it. Now I thought I thought it was a soda aerator because it looked like those metal things looked like they would go on the top of a bottle, and then you'd pour soda pop through it, and like fine wine, it would aerate the Coca-Cola.
Oh, that's a very good thing. But people, the funny answers were always the best. I think you attach this to a tube of striped toothpaste, and when you squeeze it, the stripes go out in different directions.
So now, 12 people. Did you get some right answers?
Yes, I got 6 right answers.
So there you got an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. But the nice thing is, a couple of dozen people who got it wrong, but were clever, got autographed copies of Mad Magazine, The Walking Dead issue. Ooh.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Yes, it's like this podcast.
Yes.
No, we're the Talking Dead.
Some wish we were. So we have a new image, a new What the Heck Is It? A couple of months to answer this. This will go through December, I guess. For your chance to win an autographed copy of Mad from Dick, just go to gizwiz.biz, click the What the Heck Is It contest. And I mean, look, everybody knows it's a Smurf compact, but I'll let you, think of something clever instead. Gizwiz.biz. Thank you, Dickie D.
Leo, I'll be here.
All right, stick around. Yes, we are going to do a podcast with Dick in just a little bit. The weekly, daily Gizwiz. We have 5 gadgets that we talk about every week, and you can get a copy of that at twit.tv or stay tuned. And most of these stations will not broadcast it. And just showing good taste and good common sense. I only have a little time left. Let's see how many calls I can get in. I know I'm going to have time for Brian in Los Angeles. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Brian.
Hello. This must be copy old stuff day because I have one, too.
All right.
I have a Dish Network. I don't mean Dish. I mean the satellite TV. And it had a feature where I could record programs.
Right.
And I recently upgraded to a high def, and they want my old receiver back.
No, because all my TV shows are on there.
Exactly.
It depends.
Is there any way to copy
it depends. Most of the newer ones, they've put copy protection on there. They're encrypted so that you can't do that because Hollywood didn't want you to do that. However, I'm looking at you, Hollywood. So generally, the way to do this is using something that Hollywood couldn't stop called the analog hole. You're able to play back the shows off this recorder into your TV, right? Well, that's the analog hole. What you do is you hook that output up to a recorder, not to a TV. Now, to figure this out, you're going to have to figure out what the output is. Make sure it's not copy protected. Sometimes they do. HDMI is almost always copy protected, but component and analog out, composite out, are usually not. That means you could hook them up to a digital video recorder and record them. Lots of companies make these. Go to Hapog. That's a good one. I like, if you had a lot of them and you wanted really to get the best quality, I like the Canopus 80VC 110. A couple $100, but you'll be able to get all those shows off. You can put them on DVD, and you can keep them forever. You can also buy standalone DVD recorders that might do this. But the only way to do this in most cases is by tricking the player to think it's playing back not to a recorder but to a TV. That's called the analog hole. They have as of yet not blocked that. One of our chat room, the Sue, says the DMR ES10. I don't know what that is. DMR-ES10 is a way to record it. Oh, yeah, it's a Panasonic DVD recorder. The trick, though, is that you've got to get the input into this DVD recorder and then press record and then watch the show, in effect. You won't be able to do it usually with HD. All right? Good luck. This is something difficult to do. I wrote a whole book on hacking your Series 1 TiVo. And as soon as I wrote that book, they went to Series 2 and Series 3, where they put in all sorts of copy protection to keep you from doing it. I probably shouldn't have told anybody. Hey, I hope you like the show. If you enjoy it and you want to find links to the things I talked about, including that device I just mentioned, the DMR ES10, just go to our website, techguylabs.com. Everything's there, including previous episodes, 819 episodes you can look up, read, and even listen to, because we make audio and video recordings available after the fact. techguylabs.com. My podcast network is twit.tv. In fact, that's where Dick and I are about to do the Daily Gizwiz, twit.tv. If you're a real geek enthusiast, boy, do we have stuff for you. Shows about Windows, Macintosh, security, open source software, tech news, and more. It's all at twit.tv. Thanks to Gina Yates on our phones today. My musical director and board operator, Mr. Kyle Benham. Thanks to you for joining us, and I hope you'll come back next week.